Well, welcome to the breakdown today. We are following a live press conference as we have breaking news today. It's taking place at the National Press Conference Press Club in Washington, D.C. That's where Target boycott organizers are planning to discuss the next steps in the movement. It's been more than a year since Black shoppers have taken their dollars out of Target, according to the Charlotte Post. They report the company has lost more than $12.4 billion. Let's go to this live press conference that's
Stood
happening
together
right
to
now.
challenge systems that believed they were immovable. And just as those leaders once called a nation to account, so the mothership called this generation to remember that our dollars carry moral weight. Calling communities across this country to remember that our dollars carry moral weight, calling the nation to account when a corporation walks away from its public commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, calling the people to practice what our ancestors understood well, that sometimes the most powerful sermon is not preached from a pulpit, but practiced through disciplined refusal. We thank you, God, for those voices that refused to remain silent, for leaders who reminded the nation that democracy without economic justice is a promise only half fulfilled. We thank you, God, for the faithful witness here in Washington, D.C., the delegation that refused to treat justice like a hashtag, but chose discipline of presence instead. Every Saturday, every week, standing on 14th Street Northwest in front of Target, through the cold and through the heat, through the rain and wind and long months of persistence, week after week, just as our ancestors once stood in Montgomery, Alabama, when buses rolled through streets half empty because people had decided that dignity was worth more than convenience. Today, we remember that sacred lineage. We remember Reverend Graylin Scott Hagler, whose prophetic voice helped awaken the conscience of this city, whose spirit now rests among the ancestors. We remember the gathering at Fellowship Baptist Church where strategy was shaped, courage was shared. Reverend Christopher Zacharias, Reverend Dr. Wanda Thompson, Reverend Patricia Harris Fears, and Hales Fears, and Dr. Dante, our brother O'Hare, and others who understood that justice is not accidental, justice must be organized. And we, God, thank you that this movement did not labor in vain, because even in the marketplace, we had to testify. Numbers had started telling a story. And since the boycott began after Target abandoned its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, the company has lost $12.4 billion in the marketplace. The falling store traffic, declining sales, and operating income dropping to $5.1 billion. Even leadership shifted. Brian Cornell stepped down as CEO, but remained executive chairman. It's a reminder in corporate America, when leaders stumble, the landing is rarely hard. Lord, we know these numbers are not our purpose, but they are evidence. We still see these numbers. They bear witness something deeper. They testify that organized people still have power. They testify when communities align their purchases with principles, even billion-dollar corporations must pause and listen. Evidence that organized conscience still has power, because the truth is simple. Companies cannot build their brand on the loyalty of communities and then abandon those communities when political pressure rises. So today we acknowledge a partial victory, not the end of the struggle, but the proof that disciplined economic resistance still matters. We are living in a time when corporations retreat from justice, when political pressure rises, when diversity, equity, and inclusion are treated as optional instead of essential. So God, strengthen us. Remind us that every corporation watching today, that communities are not markets to be manipulated, but people to be respected. Remind every leader today that justice delayed will eventually become justice demanded. But God of justice, we do not pray for punishment, we pray for transformation. We pray that corporations across the nation would learn the lesson that this movement that values people over dollars, marketing strategies over their bottom line. So we need your help today. Give us courage as we go forward. Turn our small acts into movements. Turn our Saturday's witness into national awakenings. And God, we will always give you the praise and the honor and the glory that no empire can silence our faith. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And good morning, everyone. My name is Patricia Hale Spears, and I'm the pastor of the Fellowship Baptist Church here in Washington, D.C. And it was at my church that our dear friend, Reverend Graylin Hagler, got together a group of clergy because he knew that even though there was a national fast going on of Target, that we weren't going to be spending anymore, that there was a need for some additional push, that our people are not all sitting in our pews or sitting in our churches, that people needed to hear this story. And so he gathered us. And in the typical Reverend Hagler fashion, he said, it is not enough just to sit around and hope, as Reverend Dr. Tate said, hashtag this movement. We need to let people know that this is real and we are committed to it. And so labor locked on with us and we walked those streets. We made a commitment to go intentionally down to one of the locations where vendors were flourishing. See, here in Washington, we were dealing with at that time, and many people were struggling with that need for the National Guard was coming everywhere. And they weren't looking at the economic future that was being stripped from us as an undercurrent. And so we came together. And I will tell you, it breaks my heart because it was just a few months ago when Reverend Hagler, who had been with us from the very beginning when dealing with late stage throat cancer, and the cancer was riddled all over his body. I was sitting at a forum for the Target boycott at one of the churches, and I didn't make it to the action that day. And his beloved called me up and said, could you get to Graylin? I don't think he could stand up. He's staggering. But he made a point to make sure we got all of the documents that we needed to hand out to people. And even though he could barely walk to his car, he stumbled along the walls. He still wanted to make sure that we were ready. That's the commitment that we're talking about. That's the direction that we need to go in. We ought not ever get weary in well-doing. We have to stick with it to the very end. And so we honor our dear beloved brother, who the very beginning of his ministry was all about connecting people together. It was him that on the day that his dear friend Jesse Jackson died, he too transitioned. But it was him who gave Jesse that rainbow. He says, Jesse had push. He says, but you need to add rainbow to it because I'm dealing with the Latino and the African-American pastors here in Chicago. And they came together and became good friends. And so we thought that when our twin towers fell down in our community, our brother Graylin and our brother Jesse, we knew that this boycott needed to continue to push, to make sure that we made a difference. And I could tell you each and every Saturday, we talked to people who didn't know what was going on. Young people, old people, why are you doing this? And we would make it plain to them because you're not going in there to buy your news today, baby. You got to go down the street. And let me give you some stores that you could go to. We wanted to make sure that people understood that their power was in their dollar. And we gave fiscal literacy education to those young people that didn't understand that the money that they saved could go back into their community to make a difference. See, Target here in DC has these little stores, but they take over the whole community. They knock the building down, build up apartments, change and jack up rents, and then the whole neighborhood shifts. But our people are refusing to let that happen. So I'm proud to be a part of the coalition that told the mothership, because it landed into the hearts of those here in Washington. And we were making sure that the funk of indignity and the funk of racial injustice was not going to spread. But we were going to make sure that we were giving the aroma of hope and the opportunity for people to shine. And so we are glad to be here with you. We will stand with you. We're standing together now. I don't see us and them and us, as we're all in this together. And I pray that we will continue to fight the good fight as we honor our brother and each other. Amen.
Thank you so much, Reverend Fear, and to Reverend Tate just gave a whole synopsis. So we're just gonna keep putting some icing on this cake. Definitely can testify to the fact of what Reverend Hagler meant and how myself, Tamika, leader Mallory, and Pastor Brian came back into DC over and over again to be with our DC crew, our DC coalition, who we love and adore so much, who physically, again, this day and age, it is so hard to get people to physically come to a place. And they did that thing, and we just love and admire them. We want the whole world to know that there's something extra special happening in the District of Columbia. So we love you all so much. I want to take you back so that we can move forward. And then after that, my dear sister, leader Tamika D. Mallory, will come up and talk about some of the grassroots efforts and other connective tissue. I feel like we're building a quilt right now. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling quilt energy. So just some of the top lines, because it has been over 400 days at this point. And on February the 17th, we had hit our 381-day mark, and we did, as a group, a whole pay homage to the people who came before us. The most successful boycott of the 20th century was the Montgomery bus boycott, and we paid homage to them. And we walk in their footsteps and the footsteps of so many others. And here we are. So years ago, as we know, CEO Brian Cornell said that the murder of George Floyd, which was the righteous thing to do. I want to start off by acknowledging righteousness when I see it, which happened just a short distance from Target's headquarters in his hometown, felt personal. He said that it motivated him to step up Target's diversity and equity efforts. And I want to quote him here that could have been one of my Target team members, he said at the time, recounting his thoughts as he watched the video of George Floyd taking his final breaths. Target expanded its diversity goals at the time, saying it would increase representation of Black employees across its workforce by 20% over the next year. The company started a new program to help Black entrepreneurs develop, test, and scale products to sell at mass retailers like Target. And it promised to spend more than $2 billion with Black-owned businesses by 2025, from construction companies that build or remodel the stores to advertising firms that market its brand. Now, what happened? Target did end up bending to bigotry. It announced on January 24th of 25 that they would be rolling back their diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives, stopping the reports to external diversity-focused groups like the Human Rights Campaign, Corporate Equity Index, and ending a program that focused on carrying Black products and products from other minority-owned businesses. Now, they said this on January the 24th. On January the 25th, We Are Somebody called on Target and the Target company nationwide to not bend to bigotry. And we asked them, we said, we're going to give you until February the 1st that you reinstate your program and the initiatives and ensure to protect the promise that you had laid out. They did not change their plan. They did, in fact, bend to bigotry. And as Reverend Fears laid out, there's power in the purchase. Let me put that out there. There is power in our purchase. And we decided to make sure that everybody knew what Target had done. And so you get by with a little help from your friends. And I called one of my dear sister friends, Tamika D. Mallory. And I said, TDM, we got to do this. And she didn't even ask me any questions. Now, I don't know if she regrets it right now, but she didn't ask a question. She said, what are we doing? When are we doing it? How are we doing it? And at the same time, as fate would have it, we called our dear brother, Dr. Jamal Bryant, who at the time was cooking up that Target fast. And it all just kind of came together. And that's how we became known as the Mothership 3. This is not just about Target, but this is about corporate responsibility writ large. And how we as consumers, we as Black people who tend to be the consciousness of justice, can no longer sit idly by and just think that this is about our vote. This is about our dollar and our vote. And we have to ensure that corporations do right by us. And as they do right by Black America, that means they're going to do right by everybody else. I do want to give a extra special shout out to Mama D, aka Mama Dolores Herta, one of the great civil rights champions of our time, who called us up and said, "I am right with you," from the great state of California. And also Latino Freeze, who has been with us from the very beginning and quoted in many interviews as saying that we are following the Black leadership on this thing, because we know that our liberation, our freedom, our justice comes through Black liberation. We can no longer afford to allow any corporation, whether it's Target, and there's so many others. If Black America really decided not to shop, we really wouldn't shop anywhere in terms of what is owed and what is due the respect to us for the types of dollars that we cultivate in these United States of America, and that the fact that this country is a hegemon nation because of the forced labor of Black folks. But I'm gonna put that on in the parking lot for now, but it's all interconnected. And it is the reason why when you have a Target to make the type of promise that it made, which was a righteous promise, and then they backtrack like that. They tell us that they love us and they seduce us into the store only to backtrack on that love and treat us like a secret love. We have had to call Target out on this, and we have been doing that ever since. So I'm gonna bring my sister up, my sister in this labor. We have been on many journeys together, and I'm so happy. Do you know how blessed you are to have somebody that you can call who really don't ask you no questions? They just say, "Where are we going? What time do you need me to be there?" We ride out at dawn. And leader Tamika Mallory is that type of leader. So without further ado, my dear sister, Tamika D. Mallory.
Y'all give it up for Senator Nina Turner. You know, that's our fighting sister. And she keeps it super duper real. And I appreciate that when I'm feeling like my knees are shaking, I can turn to Nina Turner and always find a strong sister to help get me back on track. And so it has been really incredible to be in a, for lack of a better term, a threesome, the mothership with these individuals. And Carrie Bryant, I ain't talking about that kind of threesome. But with this group, you know, we, the three of us, have really been through a lot through this process. I think it's important for people to understand the human side of leadership. It is hard. It's not easy. And there's a lot of people who want to take credit for leading things, which they should, because we all lead in our own right. But it took real work every day, even when at times we felt a lot of things, sometimes betrayal, you know, sometimes just tired. You're fighting against a massive system. And the fact that we were able to stay the course is really special to me. And of course, Jamal, who is my brother, my big brother, and, you know, his creativity, your creativity, let me not speak as if he's not in the room. Your creativity is incredible. What you have been able to do, not only in your life, but in your ministry and everything that we see happening, is you should be celebrated for it, because it is certainly, you had the thing that helped us to kind of bring this to another level. And we all needed one another. We all needed to play a specific role. And so I'm grateful to be here, and good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for those who are tuning in around the nation, possibly around the world. To all of you who showed up here today, I really want to join my colleagues in acknowledging the thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, probably millions of people who didn't need to sign up. They didn't need to call anybody to be acknowledged. They just did what they could do, which was to stop spending their money right in their town, right in their community. And those are the people who we honor today. Thank you for participating in the Target Fast and the consumer boycott overall. For many people, this was not symbolic. It required real sacrifice. People changed where they spent their money. Small businesses and families made difficult decisions. I think about the authors who asked people not to purchase their books from Target. I think about those vendors who redirected sales to their own websites, and also some of them showed up at community events to sell their products directly to consumers. It's not easy to do that when you've already worked so hard to become a vendor in a place like Target, and they should be celebrated. This happened because we know that when vulnerable communities are under attack, the people must respond in ways that demonstrate our collective power. And because of people's support, your sacrifice, and our commitment, we are gathered here today to provide a report on the progress we've made and the areas that are still of concern. And as I sit here and look at those of you who were outside of Target every single Saturday, you guys put the real skin in the game. And we are nothing when we say we're leading and there's nobody there to be a part of the movement. So you really are the ones that held this thing together, and you deserve to be praised, honored, supported, and thank you so much from my heart for what you all did to keep this movement going. For many months, Target remained silent as we requested multiple times that they meet with us, the previous CEO, the incoming CEO who is now, he is the sitting CEO. We wanted to discuss the boycott and the demands. And those demands were always about ensuring that the commitments made to the Black community in the wake of the racial justice uprising of 2020, in the name of George Floyd, that they would not simply disappear under the pressure of the racist attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Pastor Bryant will come up and speak more about the specifics of each demand. But based upon the conversations that we had with Target, multiple meetings that we have participated in, we can report today that there has been progress in a few significant areas. I believe it is important for our community to know that when we work in a collective capacity, our efforts can produce movement. And so today, we want to acknowledge that the progress that has been made belongs to all of you. At the same time, it is equally important for us as good stewards of your energy to provide a full picture so that you can make decisions about how you would like to proceed going forward. To that end, during a recent internal meeting with Target employees, the new CEO, Michael Fidelki, acknowledged that the company bears responsibility for the breakdown of trust. He actually said that the trust had been broken, particularly with Black customers and even with the employees within the company. And that kind of acknowledgement matters. Taking responsibility is an important step towards trust if you truly want that trust to be restored. The acknowledgement demonstrates that you can name the harm and state your commitment to be better out loud. One of our concerns with Target this entire year plus has been the company's unwillingness to make a clear, direct statement about where it stands in the midst of deep disappointment and the massive upset that their canceling of the DEI program caused the Black community. So some people might say, well, why does that matter? That they make a very clear acknowledgement. The answer is very simple. As a billion-dollar company, you cannot harm people in public and then apologize in private. If the harm was public, then the acknowledgement must be public as well. It must be clear and it must be heard by all of those impacted. Aligning with the Trump administration as they provide license for corporations and institutions to discriminate against Black people was wrong in January 2025 and is still wrong today. So it's good that the company has spoken to their employees, That matters. But my mother would like an apology too. And she does not work for Target. And so we sat across the table from the CEO and we asked, Mr. Fidelki, when will you acknowledge the harm that has been caused to the Black community outside of your employee meeting? When will you state to our community that you recognize the harm that has been caused and that you are welcoming us back, knowing and understanding that you have accepted and will do better as a company? To date, that has not happened. So I ask again today, when will Target acknowledge the harm that has been caused to our community? But regardless of what Target does, we as a community must stay focused. Target is just one example of a corporation that has benefited enormously from the loyalty and the spending power of Black consumers. There are many others. And when a company that has profited from the loyalty of our community appears to betray us or has betrayed us, we have a right to respond. There are those that will have us believing that we're the problem for calling out other people who have done harm to us. No, we have a right to stand up for ourselves. The larger lesson here, though, is about the power of our community. Black consumers generate more than $1 trillion in economic activity in this country every single year. Our dollars have influence, and we have choices, brothers and sisters. I have not been to Target since the day Nina Turner tells the story that she called me to get me involved in and to get Until Freedom to participate in the boycott organizing. But the real person who got me to change my mind about going to Target was my mother, because she called me and these were her words. I ain't studying Target. I ain't never going back to Target. She was upset. She was upset. And that's why I joined this movement, because my mother was my guiding light. And again, I feel that she deserves an apology. If it were not the case that we have power, that we have influence, there's no way the CEO would have sat down with us. He sat with us because he knows, his team knows, that something needs to be done to repair a profitable relationship. And I want to make sure that people who are here, who are trying to figure out where do we go from here, know that you have a choice. You can decide where you would like to spend your money, not just with Target, but with any corporation that you feel has not been a good partner for your dollars. So this is not the end of a movement. While we are growing and evolving, and people will be moving on to do other work, this is really an evolution of a movement that we started that should expand and grow, because more companies need to be held accountable. More people need to know that Black folks are not to be taken for granted. And so the question now is not about Target. It's really about us. What's next? Who's next? And what do we intend to do? And when they try to silence our voices, when they try to stop us from talking, whatever they do, whether they try to buy us out, make us sell out, take us out, we need to make sure that our dollars scream louder than our voices ever can. And we should be screaming Black power. God bless you all. I'm sorry. I thought Nina was going to come back and introduce our brother. Let us please bring to the podium the Honorable Prime Minister, the Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant, who is the organizer and the great visionary behind the Target Fast. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all of you. Let me take a moment in the middle of Women's History Month to say I never had the opportunity to breathe the same oxygen as Fannie Lou Hamer. I never got to meet Sojourner Truth or to know Harriet Tubman. But working alongside Nina Turner and Tamika Mallory puts me in the center of history to point to my daughters to say, this is what super bad sisters look like. And I am grateful always in the civil rights movement. It has been Black women who have done the heavy lifting. And so I want to take a moment just to salute and to celebrate my sisters who have really been the heartbeat and the brain trust of this movement. Can we celebrate them for the work that they do? I am grateful. They are not colleagues or co-workers for me. They are my sisters, and I love them. We are sisters and brothers in every sense of the word. We fight, we argue, we disagree, but we kiss and make up by the next day, and we're grateful. In that same heartbeat, we owe a debt of gratitude to Bishop Leah Daughtry, who has been an abiding force and a mentor and a coach and advisor and a consigliere in so many ways, and a therapist to make it happen. I wanted to rise today, just 72 hours after the 61st anniversary of the march from Selma to Montgomery, to recognize the life and the legacy of Bernard Lafayette and Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, who both respectively helped pave the way for the cement that we now stand on. I'm grateful that Ecclesiastes is right, that there's nothing new under the sun. Reverend Jackson said many years ago when he was launching the Wall Street Project that we've got to move from the racial battleground to the economic common ground. This is serendipitous for us to be here today, and I wanted you to be mindful that Representative Turner is from Ohio. Leader Mallory came in today from New York. I'm from Atlanta, but we're here because Washington is holy ground, not just for those who have been trudging through the streets for a year solid, but also to know that this is a manifestation of the idea of Martin Luther King Jr., who said this ought to be the place that we find financial freedom for those who are poor, that this is an idea that is not yet realized. And so the three of us are the sons and daughters of the civil rights movement, knowing that the next progressive step after civil rights is civil rights, that there has to be some economic development. Harry Belafonte gives witness to Dr. King calling him 4 weeks before he was assassinated and said, I am afraid we've integrated the Negro into a burning house. What's the point of Black people being able to sit at the lunch counter if they don't have access to a hamburger? And so you fast forward all of these years later, and I am embarrassed that we have to have this fight. I am ashamed that we have to complete the work of the ancestors who went before us. But I am grateful and I'm humbled that we have the strength to pick up the baton and to continue the journey. Let me first thank 300,000 people who have registered to be a part of the Target Fast from all over, for the nameless and faceless pastors and churches and denominations who walked alongside us. Thank you. When Senator Turner began to speak this out loud and Leader Mallory began to echo the sentiments, there were naysayers who didn't think this would have any impact, have any effect, because quite frankly, honestly, transparently, a whole generation has not seen an effective boycott. This took 70 years for it to come full circle. And so we stand on the shoulders of those who went before us. And so before we address Target and address anybody else, let me thank the nameless and faceless amongst you who drove 3 extra miles away from Target. Let me thank those of you who got daughters who couldn't understand why you couldn't get your Bow-Ritz from there and why you had to get shampoo from somewhere else. Let me thank you because according to Bloomberg, the valuation of Target has dropped by $12 billion. Let me thank you because according to the Wall Street Journal, it has been 3 consecutive cycles, quarters where they have not seen a profit. And I wanted to be clear before we talk about tariffs and before we talk about Iran and before we talk about trade, the impact is because of like-minded people who understand the Kwanzaa principle of collective economics. And I am appreciative for all of you who have stood in lockstep with us, many of whom you've never shaken our hands, you've never hugged us, we've never met you, but you caught hold of this vision that doesn't belong to any of the 3 of us, but it belongs to the entire community. We asked Target for 4 things, and in quaking trepidation, I have to say, in the presence of Senator Turner, we asked for 4 things more than a year ago. And I am fatigued that it's taken us this long, almost 400 days to report back to you. I wanted to just give a reminder to what those 4 things were so that you'll know where it is that we stand. We asked that there would be a reimagination of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That while it is that this administration seems to be allergic to every person having a seat at the table, we wanted to know, where does Target stand? Secondarily, while it is that Target has found itself prominently placed on predominantly white institutions, there was no presence with HBCUs. And so we wanted to know, where are you with that? Senator Turner enunciated what it is that the former CEO, Brian Cornell, articulated after the death, the murder of George Floyd, a commitment to $2 billion being invested into the community. We wanted to know where were they in honoring that. And lastly, with all of the money that the Black community invest into Target, would they be open to expanding the capacity for access to capital by investing in Black banks? For the moments that are entrusted to me left, I want to go over the 4 things that Target has completed and what left remains incompleted because we have not been able to bring you up to speed. Let me thank the new incoming President and CEO, Michael Fidelki, who just started the first day of Black History Month. And so he has proven that he wants to make history in Black history, not just remember it. I want to thank Senior Vice President Isaac Rios, who has met with us consistently through this process. And I want to thank our ally, Ray Robinson, who has been very instrumental in helping all of the parties get to the table. First is the $2 billion commitment. Those of you who grew up like I did in the 80s, and you remember the Wiz, Stephanie Mills said, "Don't nobody bring me no bad news." So let me say to you that Target, in their commitment for $2 billion, has completed 97% of it. And the remaining balance should be complete by Easter. They've partnered with Black-owned brands, Black-owned media, Black-owned suppliers who bring a culture, creativity, and innovation into spaces where our presence has long been overlooked and, quite frankly, underestimated and ignored. Target understands the past, yet understanding the past is not sufficient. The present and the future is where it is that we are. The revolutionaries who are amongst us would echo the sentiment forward ever and backward never. And so it's not so much about what has happened in the past, but what it is that we can accomplish in the future. Leader Mallory spoke to what CEO Michael said to the 400,000 employees in terms of us not being treated with the highest level of respect. And the question that has been asked of us over the last year, of 35 of Fortune 500 companies who have walked away from DEI, why did we pick Target first? And the answer to that resoundingly is Target is the only one we invited to the cookout. They were the only ones we felt were kissing cousins. They are the only Fortune 500 company that got a hood nickname. We called them Target because we had let them into the house. And so it was not just a abandonment of DEI, but we felt as if it was a betrayal to it. Target exceeded not just the 2 billion by Easter, what they'll do at the 97% mark, but in our meeting with Leader Mallory and Bishop Daughtry, they shared they went above that with $100 million in grants, $100 million in grants and scholarships to Black-led community organizations, surpassing the original commitment. So we are at $2.1 billion. The second is our ask was about investing in HBCUs. Target understands, as we do, that HBCUs is the incubator of the largest amount of Black doctors, Black lawyers, Black engineers, Black public servants, and biasly, Black preachers. And so HBCUs have curated for us at the highest level of capacity, even producing the first Black vice president. We are stone's throw away, and I must invoke the name not just of Howard University, but to our DC contingency, we also have to invoke the name of UDC that has locally been producing Black scholars around the DMV. In so doing, I want to give high commendation because Target has given $10 million to the Pencil Lewis College of Business and Design in Detroit. Now, I am a 4th generation HBCU graduate. I have children respectively, one at Hampton, one at Florida A&M, and one at Spelman College. By the way, none of them are on scholarship. I'm paying for all of it. But I was unaware until our meeting with Target of the only HBCU design school, which is Pencil Lewis College in Detroit, that was on the brink of closure until Target came and walked alongside them and gave them a gift of $10 million. I am grateful that that school is open. I have talked to students as well as staff that is there, and they are grateful for that robust contribution. On top of that, let me appreciate publicly that they have given upwards of $18 million towards the United Negro College Fund, another $8 million towards their Target scholars. They have identified our first HBCU that will be their flagship on how it is that they walk alongside HBCU who have business programs so that those HBCU students would be able to learn how to scale business, will know how to do business, will know how to interview, and know how to compete. I am absolutely grateful that there is, in fact, an alternative to the prison pipeline, which is HBCUs. We cannot just talk about problems without talking about solutions. And so in their scholars program, it is not just summer internships, but they will be preparing them with interviewing skills, preparing their resumes, and showing them how it is that they will be able to integrate into a workspace that still finds itself in bias. The third area that I wanted to direct your attention to in the absence of diversity, equity, and inclusion is I would be derelict of my responsibility to not underscore being flanked by Representative Turner and Leader Mallory, the impact of the absence of diversity, equity, inclusion on Black women. Over 300,000 Black women have lost their jobs since February. I would be absent of conscious of mind to not to recognize and underscore this is the largest Black unemployment that we have had since the pandemic. And we can point to it because our people who are qualified and are work ready are not given opportunity. Let's not delude ourselves to believe that diversity, equity, inclusion is necessary. Just yesterday, somebody was placed on the Air Force board who has never been in ROTC. Let's not delude ourselves of where it is that we are, that we have the most ill-equipped cabinet in the history of the United States of America. And they've gotten the job from reverse discrimination. And so they piloted a program targeted on last January called the Belonging Program. I want to direct you, because I don't work for Target, I want to direct you to their own website so that you can find how it is that they are opening up opportunities for minorities and for women to be able to get access not just to entry-level positions, but how it is that they can scale up and how it is that they will not get a concussion hitting their head on a glass ceiling. I am pleased to report that now 13% of the board of Target is now minorities. 13%. They can stand toe to toe against any other Fortune 500 company with their diversity measures and in their inclusion. They are in 2,000 communities. Target is in 2,000 communities, and they have made a commitment to partner with those communities and with those organizations and with the young people in those communities and organizations so that they would have a fair shake and a fair opportunity. Those, ladies and gentlemen, are the three we have made progress in. The fourth one is the one that really burdens my heart to this day, is that up to this hour, Target does not have a relationship with not one Black bank. I am grateful for President Cynthia Day, who is the president of Citizens Trust Bank in Atlanta, Georgia, who has been walking alongside us to see what banks are equipped and prepared to be a partner with an organization at this scale. We have submitted the names of those banks to Target, realizing that is a process that is deserving of the right level of interrogation to make sure that it is a great fit. We are prayerful that Target will be able to align itself with a Black bank. Pastor Bryant, why is that necessary? It is so necessary that our banks have equal and strong footing because home ownership is the entry point for generational wealth. And we've got to move our people from a renting mindset to an owning mindset. We cannot talk about Black businesses without talking about Black entrepreneurship. And an overwhelming majority of our Black businesses only have one employee, which is the owner, and they are not able to go to scale because they don't have access to capital. Our community banks are in fact the epicenter to help hoist us to get to the next level. We have not been able to get all that we have desired, but I am grateful for the strides that we have made, for the Target Fast that really reflects the faith-based component of this. We are claiming victory. And I believe that our generation needs to see victory. The reason why that is important is because our generation has only seen settlements. Our generation has only seen settlements and has never seen victory. And so I wanted this generation to know that there is power in your voice. We are collectively the 12th wealthiest nation in the world. And if we, in fact, bring our resources together, we'll be able to make an impact and able to make a change. Weeks from now, I don't want it ever to be said that what it is that Target went through was because of Iran. I don't want it to be said that it was because of tariffs. It was done because Black people and brown people and conscientious people had a made up mind that we can make a difference and we can make an impact. And so could things be different? Yes, but things are better. And I'm appreciative. And sometimes we've got to celebrate small steps. Nelson Mandela, in his autobiography, The Long Walk to Freedom, said that the long walk to freedom begins with the first step. And I believe, ladies and gentlemen, history will record this was the first step to the new civil rights movement. And so I am grateful for those who walked alongside us, those who partnered with us, and I am thankful that we can claim in this hour that victory is ours. Would you do me a favor for the nameless and faceless people who are not in the room? Would you give them an applause, please? Yes, thank you. I'm gonna have you. I'm gonna have you do it. Yes, I'm gonna have Nina wants to say something. But the Target Fast entity of the boycott is, and I speak for the Target Fast. This is an amalgamation of several different movements that are taking place. But the Target Fast entity, which is the faith-based initiative, is claiming victory and giving God glory for what it is that we have done. We are effectively today closing this chapter because we have other fights that we've got to see and other things that we've got to tackle. But I'm grateful and I give God all of the glory for what it is that he's been able to do. So thank you for praying with us, marching with us, and standing with us. And stay tuned for the next fight. But this fight for us has now reached its conclusion.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend. Just wanted to mention that there are people still fighting other fights with Target. And so the collective, we would be remiss if we didn't remind people about ICE and the assaults on people all across this country, but particularly what Minneapolis and St. Paul were able to show the nation what they could do when people come together. We do stand in solidarity. As Reverend Brian laid out the demands that we made prior to that, it's not lost on us that there's another type of fight that's interconnected with the economic fight that is going on by people being snatched up and people even being murdered, shot in the head and shot on the streets and called terrorists by a federal agency with our tax dollars. So we are here to say that we stand in solidarity, and also the House of Labor stands in solidarity. Bishop, we forgot to mention the AFT.
Yes, please.
Can we mention the AFT with President Randy Weingartner, those teachers, how many, 1.8 million or so teachers joined us in this effort, and also particular uplift and thanks to Chicago President Stacey Davis Gates, who fought really hard to get the AFT involved, and teachers all around this country joined the Target boycott and the fast. And as the preacher laid out, the people who signed up for the fast, millions of people participated. Those are the people who actually signed up on the website. But millions of people, make no mistake, had an impact on all the shares and everything that happened with Target. So I want us to be cognizant of other fights still going on, of which Target has to answer for, people being snatched up out of their stores or snatched up in their parking lots. They got to answer for that. People's civil rights and civil liberties should be protected, not just by corporations like Target, but corporations all over this country, again, who should not bend to bigotry. And then the Minneapolis local leadership itself, we want to lift them as well. It takes all of us to be in a fight of this magnitude. The struggle is forever, and so we are forever in the struggle. Lastly, in the words of James Baldwin, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. And we are facing these things, and we must understand that all of this is interconnected. It is not just one, but it is all of these assaults. And that justice only reigns when conscious-minded people put a little extra on their ordinary so that extraordinary things can happen. Our sister, Tamika Mallory, our sister leader, Mallory, had to run to catch a plane, But as you can see, we are together, and again, our DC group, we cannot say enough. Now we're our media press leader here on the ground with us, Karen Finney, will come up and field questions that we have.
I'm not gonna field it. You're
Well,
gonna
give us the
I'm gonna
question.
tell you. Let's see if I can turn this on. I'm gonna tell you what they are. I don't know if this is working. So we do have a question from Sarah Nassauer of the Wall Street Journal. To clarify, are you encouraging folks to shop there again? And I think the second part of her question you've already answered, which is, and has Target agreed to make changes to their internal policies related to DEI? I think you spoke to that, but so her other question for y'all is, are you encouraging people to shop there again? And that's the only question I have so far from journalists. So I think after that we can close.
I am not encouraging people to go back and shop at Target. It really is a sin and a shame that it took them this long for us to get to this point. I think what the three of us, for a brief moment, let me just speak for the three of us, which is Leader Mallory laid it out, that we came to give an update because the people who participated in this with us all over this country deserved an update and to know who we are. Based on the update, the history, the information, and the update, people have to decide whether or not Target is worthy enough for you to go back in their stores. I personally, and as Leader Mallory laid out, her mother even saying she's not going back, I'm telling you, I am not going back. And particularly because we are owed a public apology. And so I want to see the Target CEO, just as they quit us publicly, they need to reaffirm their love for us publicly. Ultimately, people have to make their own decision. But as for me and my house, we will not be going back to Target.
I misspoke.
Appreciate you.
I'm gonna hold that.
No problem. Peace and blessings. Sam P.K. Collins from the Washington Information paper. I have a couple of clarifying questions. First, the exact date of your most recent meeting with Target leadership. I wasn't quite clear on that. And I have a couple more after that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind. It was, I believe, the last week of February. I believe it's the last meeting. The exact date, I'm afraid, I don't know. But
No
the
problem.
last week of February.
Awesome, that's fine.
Yes.
And in terms of the exact state of the boycott, am I hearing correctly that it is officially over? I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to get clarification on that.
Yes. So I wanted to lend clarity. You're seeing an amalgamation of three different entities happening at the same time. I am speaking expressly around Target Fast.
Gotcha.
So the Target Fast is bringing our boycott to the end. But as Leader Turner intonated, there are other streams that are still operating and functioning. I am speaking expressly and solely that the Target Fast is coming to an end today.
Got it. And in
Yes.
terms of the progress that has been made with the funding of HBCUs and things of that nature, have those funds or those arrangements, have they been enshrined in like MOU, things like that? What
Yes.
accountability measures are there?
Yes, so we had a full, what I'll put in hood terms, we had to check the receipts. So we checked the receipts on all of the 97% of the 2 billion that was given. We called the HBCUs to verify those partnerships. We didn't take people's word for it at all, but we verified everything before we came to this room.
Got you.
Yes.
I do. You got, please pardon me, because representing DC.
No,
here.
thank you.
So in alignment with what Reverend Fears was talking about earlier,
Yes.
she did mention the small businesses, the
Yes.
vendors that were out front on 14th Street.
Yes.
What's the game plan as far as, going beyond a boycott to support small businesses for those of us seeking alternatives that are pouring into our entrepreneurs, our small
Yes.
business people?
Thank you. So at the outset of the Target Fast, we partnered with the Black Business Association. Those who went to targetfast.org, we sent out a digital directory of 300,000 Black businesses around the country for people to participate in. I've partnered with 5 churches around the country, mega churches, Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, Salem Baptist Church in Chicago, Friendship West in Dallas, Texas, Allen AME Church in Jamaica, Queens, New York, and of course, my church, New Birth in Atlanta, where quarterly we're doing what we've called the bullseye market, where we're bringing in 100 Black vendors under our roof and pouring in people from the community to support those. It's very important for us, as you would understand. You can't tell people what not to do without showing them what to do. And so Black businesses are important. And thank you for bringing me down the trail. I want to appreciate the Black businesses that were in Target and had an adverse impact because of this boycott, and have really had to shoulder and to pivot and to adjust. I am going to be resolute about supporting those businesses that have, quite frankly, been holding on by a thread. But I want to make sure that we don't redirect this energy away from recycling the Black dollar. But I think it's important that we support our Black businesses, not just in Black History Month, but all year round in doing so, and doing it without asking for a discount.
No doubt.
Dr. Brian, I just want to add to that, as soon as, and what Dr. Brian has been able to do with that marketplace, but as soon as we got word about the disparate impact, and that was a righteous question, what about the businesses that are in there? We did create a directory of almost every, because just in case we miss one, we right away created a directory as soon as the boycott started with the individual websites of almost every vendor.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot that was in Target so that people could go directly to their website. And as Reverend laid out, and also Leader Mallory, there were some very courageous vendors from the beginning who said that they would not cross the boycott picket line, so to speak. And we owe a great debt of gratitude to them because they made an economic sacrifice, and even did interviews across the country and did direct people directly to their website. So we don't have to use the middle company at all, ever, for any of these things because of the type of technology that is at our disposal. Now we can go directly to these companies. So whether it's Target or somebody else that we want to show that we are not to be played with, we can go directly to these businesses. It has always been important to all of us to make sure that as we are making a larger point about the importance of not taking the Black dollar for granted, that those dollars flow directly to those Black businesses.
Really do appreciate that. I got one more. Please bear with me. And I wish Miss Mallory was here.
We standing in the stead for our sister. She had to catch a flight.
Let me also say, we take all of the questions because part of our push has been around Black media.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And supporting the Black press. And so we're grateful, one, that you are here, and we want to celebrate our partners, the Root and the Black Star Network, who has partnered with us on the day. Yes. So, no, we're grateful for all your things. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. In the spirit of that question, if y'all can just speak about the collaborative efforts, just take us back in time. Of course, Senator Turner, you did talk about the phone call initially, but just bringing 3 streams of the boycott together, what was the conversation in making that happen? What lessons can we learn contemporarily as it relates to sharing space in the movement?
It's such a powerful question. There's a quote, it's not my quote: if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And certainly my organization, We Are Somebody, as I said, January 24th, that statement was made by the former CEO that, diversity, equity, inclusion was out the door, as Target gave $1 million, let me just say, to the public party of President Donald J. Trump, known as an inauguration, but I digress. Gave $1 million to that effort, along with some other companies. They're not the only one. When he made that statement to it did hurt, as Pastor Brian said, because they did do something that was right, and we brought them into the family. And then to turn their backs on us like that, just like that. And far too often, what Target did is a microcosm of what America does to Black people all the time. We're always sacrificed on the altar of something all the time. If you look at most major compromises in the country, Black people bore the brunt of the so-called compromise. And what Target did was just the 21st century version of that. Love us and then leave us.
Yikes.
And that hurt. I mean, that really hurt because Brian Cornell did the right thing, Pastor. He did. And then just like that, bent to bigotry, where companies like Costco and so many others said, I see you in court. You know, so Target didn't have to do it that way, but they decided to do it that way. So just the incredible weight that I was feeling in that moment and feeling some of the ancestors that Dr. Bryan invoked in this room, both names known and unknown. And what is our responsibility? You know, my sweetheart says to me all the time, our ancestors deserve all the credit in the world, but what are we gonna do? And it was that kind of feeling and hurt and betrayal. And I said, you know, I can complain about it. I can get on social media and talk about it, or I can put myself out there and try to do something about it. And that is when we put out the call on the 25th, January. And then I was on the phone probably on the 25th or the 26th because I had sold these wolf tickets. And basically it was like, Target, you got until February 1st to turn this thing around. And if you don't turn it around, we, the collective we, millions of us, gonna boycott you. And this is like the human part of it, not knowing what actually was gonna happen.
That's right.
And was I gonna fall on my face and saying that we gonna do this, speaking. And then I called my sister Tamika, and then we called Reverend Doctor, who was already cooking up that fast part of this thing. And I get by with a little help from my friends. And it's not just the Mothership 3, but to see the incredible outpouring of love and support of tens of thousands into millions of people, because it takes many, many people to impact your stock shares and your foot traffic in your stores. And so that's the human element of really, you know, how all of this started.
I want to add the dimension that I did not, relative to the Target fast, is I was really in pain that I am a part of a generation that doesn't see the relevance of the Black church. And sees the Black church disconnected from what's happening in the community. So the Target fast was to eke out a lane for the Black church to become re-engaged in what is taking place. It's the largest amount of Black people who don't go to church. Is the largest demographic of Black people who self-identify as atheists. And so I wanted the Black church to come apart in the spirit of unity, because I want all of us to really be in one lane. I want to invoke the name of Attorney Nakima Williams, who was working in Minneapolis, doing the same work as us. We are not in competition. We're all fighting towards the same goal. And so I just wanted in this historic moment to invoke her name.
So we have a couple more questions.
Hi, I'm Chris Von Dracic with the Minnesota Star Tribune. I'm one of our DC reporters. I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you. Just quickly, Reverend Pastor, you had alluded to the Iran conflict, the Iran war, and we also know that you had said that you had met at the end of last month with Target, with Fidelki, et cetera. Can you just share why now, as far as calling for your portion at least, for kind of a conclusion, a victory, et cetera, for this campaign?
And so I want to be very clear that this journey for all of us was not a symbolic one, nor was it ceremonial. And so I am calling for it because I am satisfied of the 3 of the 4. And so once I was able to verify where we were, there are other, as Representative Turner intonated, there are other issues that are yet amongst us, but they're not in the 4 of my original ask. And so in integrity to what I asked for, then I wanted to be in line and in lockstep with that. So I am asking for it now because I am satisfied with what it is that I've been able to discover.
Yes, thank you. My name is Nia 2X from Nia 2X Radio, the voice of the people. I wanted to clarify. I saw you on the bullhorn, the bullpen,
Okay.
and you made a statement, and I wanted to clarify that there was $12 million spent and given to Target every day. Was that from the Black community or the total population?
So it was 12.
12 million a day.
Yes. So it was 12 million from nationally.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so nationally, and it interloped in the minority community between Black and brown people. And there's not a Black business that is in the orbit of amassing that a day. And so that's why I held Target to such scrutiny and to such ideal. Thank you, ma'am.
There's also a question online, and I cannot find his media organization, but he just asked about the media and what role the media has played. Have they been helpful? Have they been harmful?
Yeah.
I love
So
when
come
media asks
stand
that
beside
question.
me now that
That's
you
what
walking
I-
out of the
yeah,
camera
sure you
shot.
wanna know
So,
that.
yeah, so let me say, let me say in large measure, let me thank also organization I'm a part of, Progressive Baptist Convention. Let me say in large measure, this has been pushed by social media and the Black press. So social media and Black press, we didn't have a budget. We didn't have a publicist. We didn't have an agent.
Have not gotten a dime.
And,
Can we
we've never said it.
Yeah.
We want to say on record,
On record.
we want to say on record, even in the absence of Leader Mallory, that we've not received one dime, not one favor, not one in-kind gesture. We have done this 1,000% with clean hands, with a pure heart. And so our people have been so wounded that we become suspicious about leadership. And so I wanted to say up front, that none of us are magically going to be on board seats. There's not a special program that's going to happen at New Birth next month, but we wanted to make sure that the community knows that we did not take any personal gain from this journey. We flew here on our own dime, and I'm grateful.
And to Roland Martin, who
Yes.
texted us and said the live stream is going very well. We must say for Brother Roland, I believe he was the first to
He was the
interview
first, yeah.
us about this, and he asking right now who's gonna be on tonight. So
I'm gonna let y'all work that out.
You gonna let
I
us
want to
know?
make. Are there any other journalists in the room with a question? Yeah. I'm gonna hold that.
Chuck Modee, WPFW in DC. Senator Turner, you talked about you were hurt the way the Target acted. We know during the George Floyd uprising here, particularly in DC, that they were all Black Lives Matter, we're making commitments. Could you get into your analysis of why they would make those commitments and then flip and then change so much a few years later?
You know, that is really a good question for them in terms of they got to search their heart to give an account for why you would do something that was so progressive, so beautiful, so wonderful, and so righteous, and then bend the bigotry so quickly. As I intimated before, a lot of times in this country, when it comes to justice in all of its forms, economic, political, environmental, or social, the Black community is the first community to bear the brunt of the reverse. And they did not hesitate, even though, and the president is wrong in this. Diversity, equity, inclusion is a workers' rights issue. Diversity, equity, inclusion is a moral rights issue. Diversity, equity, inclusion is a justice issue and a progress issue as a nation who doesn't want diversity, equity, and inclusion. What is wrong with it? And you know, you even had some leaders recently who said to our DC contingent that, what did they say? It was toxic. That diversity, equity, inclusion is toxic. By whose standards? And if anybody tells you that diversity, equity, and inclusion is toxic, then there is something wrong with them. And we just got to call it out. And so again, the benefit to Target by the former CEO and president, Brian Cornell, doing the right thing in the right moment, and how Target was rewarded for that. Because they made multi-millions. And then at the drop of an executive order, you divorce us and we ain't go to counseling or nothing. You just dropped us. No mediator. You just dropped us. So yeah, there is a pain there. There's a gnawing there that is exacerbated by a Black experience in America, that we understand that what Target did to us is just a reflection of what happens to us over and over again in different iterations and different forms in the United States of America. So yes, it was very hurtful. And again, earlier on in my remarks, I want to say this again. Mama D, the local Porta, trying to get to, hey, I got to talk to y'all. Got to talk to you, Reverend Brian, all of y'all. Just want to thank her so much because there's a backstory to that where they went to her first to try to divide and conquer. And I'm going to lift up Mother Horta in this room that she nor her daughter in that meeting allowed Target executives to divide and conquer the Black community from the brown community. Dolores Horta did that and hadn't even met with us. Latino Freeze, questions unasked, started marching in front of Targets. Now, they didn't do like DC did every week, but they did that. And they said, we follow in the Black community's leadership. And then to our gay, lesbian, and transgender plus sisters and brothers, family and friends, I believe it was, and Ryan is not here with me, but I believe it was the Minneapolis chapter that gave up money. When they saw the Target boycott happen, they were getting about $50,000 a year to put on their pride. And they did not accept the check when the boycott started. So to all the people who we know and we do not know, who refused to take that money and who also had the courage and the wisdom to follow Black liberation leadership, we salute you. That is how coalition is built and formed, and we must keep it. And again, to our sisters and brothers in the ICE struggle, we see you, we feel you, and we stand with you. Dr. Brian, you take that one.
You don't know what it is yet.
All right.
Question, how you feel as a woman leading? I can't answer that question.
So this will be the last question, and then folks on the live stream, just so you know, this will be the last question, and you can close us out, Pastor, because we got to get out of this room in a few minutes.
All right.
Hi, my name is Iantha Summers with Summers Public Affairs. On the question of DEI, has anyone asked these leaders in these positions in these corporations, if they can diversify their stock, why can't they diversify their labor force?
Listen, you said it better for us. Thank you. To God be the glory for the great things that he has done. I am appreciative of the abiding presence of the Holy Spirit that has covered us. I'm grateful that the hand of God protected our brothers and sisters every Saturday without incident or accident. I'm grateful that we don't have any calamities or casualties. I'm grateful that we're not having this outside of a mortuary or police department, but that we came out stronger than how it is that we went in. And so of all the people that we want to thank, I'd be absent of mind to not thank God for bringing us this far. Nobody said the road was going to be easy, but I don't believe he brought us this far to leave us now. This is the end of one chapter, but is the beginning of a new movement, and we're glad to walk alongside you. God bless you. You're a rock star. Thank you. Yes. Happy. Thank you all for helping us. We're grateful.
Well, you have been watching live coverage of the Target boycott press conference from the National Press Club taking place in Washington, D.C., brought to you by the organizers of the movement. Right there, you see Pastor Jamal Bryant. Also, earlier today, activist Tamika Mallory was there alongside Ohio State Senator Nina Turner. They are claiming victory, at least Pastor Bryant is. Leaders shared how standing together and exercising economic discipline, emphasizing respect for our buying power has proved impactful in this Target fast. The boycott costs the company somewhere between $12 and $15 billion in market value. They said that there were 3 straight quarters where Target lost money. Target lost more than $12 billion. Again, it's been about 400 days of that Target boycott. Still no relationships with Black banks. And so that's something that the trio is still working on. But come to find out, Target is saving a HBCU design school in Detroit by giving them $10 million to stay open. We've also learned that about 13% of the Target board is now diverse. And so we will have more on the impact of this Target Fast coming up later on tonight. So be sure to join us right here on the Black Star Network. Roland Martin Unfiltered begins at 6 o'clock Eastern, and he will for sure be talking about this Target Fast and this news conference. We were the only TV entity that brought this live coverage for you. So we thank you for watching us and joining us today on the Black Star Network. Here on The Breakdown, I'm your host, Brittany Noble. Of course, you can always go to our website, the Black Star Network. We are your source for stories that matter to our community. Again, check out Roland Martin Unfiltered tonight on the Black Star Network, and we'll see you again here on The Breakdown tomorrow at noon. Have a great day.